Hey YouTube, here's Heiko.
Yeah.
Welcome to Storytime with Heiko. Yesterday I was filming for a short little video for you guys. I've been towing with my Frontier quite a bit lately, and I've noticed that even though it can tow 6,100 pounds, the suspension in the rear is relatively soft. I guess when they conceived this vehicle here, designed it, it was meant to be kind of an all-arounder. You can drive your family around. You can put a lawnmower in the back, but it's definitely not really equipped for heavy towing. Not even up to its own limits, design limits. So 6,100 pounds behind this thing. You want to have a decent tongue weight so that your trailer behaves behind the vehicle. The suspension is just a little soft. I was going to install a set of helper springs it's sold by Ironman 4x4. It's called the Load Plus Helper Spring Kit. This one here is model LP2. LP2 means it's a 2-inch wide helper spring. I was able to install it even though the install wasn't quite as easy as they make you believe. And then once I took the vehicle off the jack stands and it was actually the wheels were supporting its own weight. These helper springs are so close to the frame rails that when you drive this thing on a normal road with like little undulations or bumps and lumps in the road, the leaf or the helper springs will impact your frame rails. So if you see Load Plus helper spring and it says it fits a 2006 Nissan Frontier or a 2019 Nissan Frontier, don't believe it, it will not work. Took them out, already requested a return. I hope they give me all my money back because they say it fits and it doesn't. It will hit your frame rails. So I took those off, and since I didn't want to leave you hanging without a video, I decided to do another modification that also has to do with towing. The Nissan Frontier has the trailer outlet under the bumper right next to where the hitch receiver, this is from factory, there's a steel bracket welded onto the hitch receiver, and that's where the outlet is. And then a lot of people that go off-road, they want to relocate this, and they usually put it right here next to the license plate. There's a nice flat surface, and you have some space to put it there. And then some guys even use the outlet that they take off this bracket down here, down below the bumper, modify the plastic housing. This thing only has 2 bolt holes down at the lower corners, and then the rest is held in by sliding it onto this bracket. And yeah, they cut all that off to be able to just drill a round hole with a hole saw and then slide it in there, and then they use the original wiring. So I found a outlet kit, trailer outlet, trailer wiring harness. It's the Tekonsha 118267. There is another part number that's exactly the same. It's 118282, and you will get what I'm going to show you here in a second. Comes with it's an aftermarket piece, an outlet. It's a regular 7-pin, has 4 bolt holes around it, so it will be mounted properly with 4 bolts and a couple of washers and nuts behind it. And then it comes with a pre-made wiring harness. The big old plug here plugs into the back end of this outlet, so you don't have to do anything there. It's just pins right there. And this is a sealed waterproof connector, as it looks like. So you could potentially maybe put a little bit of some silicone grease, dielectric grease around the housing so that the kind of the rubber seal will be lubricated a little bit. And then on the other end are 2 proper connectors that will plug right into your vehicle's wiring harness. So the original outlet that's below the bumper next to your hitch receiver has a little sub harness that goes into the same 2 connectors. So you only have to take the original sub harness off. I will ultimately remove the sub wiring harness that's just for this outlet, and I will also remove this bracket, and I will install this aftermarket outlet right here next to my license plate. So let me get you a little closer, and then I will show you what I'm talking about, the bracket and all that stuff. Here you see this massive plug. I was looking for this here is the female end. I was looking for a male end that might fit in here and then be able to wire in an outlet. But then it turned out much easier that you just buy this kit and then put a hole here. So let's focus on the installation of the outlet for now. So I have checked behind the bumper. There's a lot of empty space, so you're not going to hit anything. There's no wiring behind here, so we're all good. Tools that you will need is a center punch. This is kind of an automatic deal here that you push in, and then it punches a little divot in there, or you can just use a normal center punch and hit it with a hammer. So let's do that real quick. I've already marked the location. I used my little metric steel ruler. So this is 12 centimeters by roughly 12 centimeters. I found the center point. That's where it's going to go. And we're going to use my center punch thing. Bam. Give it another one. Maybe another one just to make sure. And then I pre-drill the center hole so that I can... Yeah, this is cutting much better. And you want to be careful. You don't want to punch through and then hit the sheet metal. There's probably 6 inches behind this, but yeah, you never know. You don't want to go through the sheet metal and then fall in there and hit something that's behind there. So there you go. I guess today's my lucky day. I actually have a better carbide tip set up. I just wasn't aware that I even have a 2-inch crown for this. But, all right. Look at that. Let's speed this up a little bit. Maybe not. Oop. Yeah, this little drill here, I might have to grab a bigger one. Let me grab a bigger one. It doesn't have the juice to do it. But I think we're gonna make it. Whoa. Yeah, this has some, this machine has a little bit of some power. Oh, there you go. So probably the smarter guys, they would have put some masking tape around here so you don't scratch it up. I didn't scratch up anything, but now the little ring that I cut out just fell down in there. Let me grab a magnet now. Let's see if we can get it out. Or else you're going to have a rattling noise in your oh, I see it. All right, let's see if we can pull it out. Probably really sharp. Oh, and hot too. So don't touch it after doing this. It's hot. Whew. All right, you guys watch your eyes. Noise alert. All right, let's see how deburred it is. Okay, let's be careful here with the heat, but the bumper is a big, oh, there's still a little bit of some sharp edges. Let's do this one more time. Sorry guys for the noise. Not that we have rust right now, but we do have the potential for some rust because I just cut the chrome coating, chrome plating off. And this is just a steel bumper from the back side, from the inside. This is that stuff. We're going to spray some in the cap here. Shaky, shaky. And what this does, it's literally like chemical bluing of steel. So guns, for example, gun barrels back in the days, they were blued. And you can blue with a heating process or chemically. And this stuff here will pretty much do the same thing. It turns the surface into kind of a light black, which is a controlled intentional corrosion process, which is chemical bluing. And that will keep it from rusting, at least for a while. We're not going to do any more at this point. We're just going to leave the shavings right there. We're going to stick this in here. And now I'm going to grab a Sharpie, which I already brought. We're going to mark kind of like, I think I will push it towards the upper edge. Where am I? Make sure you put it straight. Then mark the holes that you need to drill for the screws. Now we need to find some hardware. I'm going to pause for a second and grab the hardware. So now I have stainless steel hardware. These are pan head screws, Phillips head screws. Since it's not structural, just the plugging in, the pulling out of the trailer plug will pull on those bolts. I have nylock nuts that fit my screws that I have here, or my bolts. And we now just have to center punch 4 little corners. Oh, I actually brought 5. Only downside is that I will have to shove my hand in there somehow to hold the nuts while I'm tightening up the Phillips head screws. But I think that's going to be just fine. And, you know, I could again measure the screw or just, no, that's not that. The hole for the bolts ever so slightly larger so that you have a little bit of wiggle room. Now we can look one more time if that all lines up. There you go. Hole looks good. Let's see if that's the right size for our screws. Yep. And now we're just going to gently drill those holes in the plastic larger. No problem. I'm going to deburr the holes here in the sheet metal a little bit. From the inside, it's kind of hard to get to. Okay, that works. Now we can stick that in here. Make sure you don't have any plastic shavings hanging around here. Stick those screws through. Ha! Doesn't fit, it's too tight. It's too not precise enough. Well, let's see if we can maybe convince it. Oh ja. Da hältst du den Schraubenzieher rein und ich mache deine Mutter von hinten drauf. Musst du ein bisschen gegendrücken. Meine Hände sind nicht, meine Arme sind nicht lang genug, um da beides zu machen gleichzeitig. Also. So here we have the old harness. As you can see, gray and a black one, gray and a black connector. These are identical on the new and the old. The old one then would have another connector more upstream here. That then is mounted in here, and then they make this, put this cover, no, this way, the cover over here, somehow like that. And the new one, yeah, a little longer. We'll see how we're gonna zip this in. Let me grab the zip ties. So believe it or not, my wireless microphone has failed at this point. So let's do a little bit of voiceover. Please watch this video all the way to the end. There's going to be a section where we talk about wiring, because the wiring harness that I'm installing here in this video is unfortunately not wired exactly how the original was. And so your trailer brakes will not work right out of the gate, and you have to make a change to this wiring harness. But I found that out a little later, so please watch it to the end. Here you see how I routed the wiring harness. Like I said, this will have to come out again. I hooked up a trailer, and then the trailer brakes were all locked up and it wasn't working. And then I had to get my multimeter out, but that's going to be at the end of the video. So the routing is really simple, couple zip ties, nothing fancy. So it all fits in there really well. It's hidden away. Nobody sees the wiring dangling anywhere. There's the outlet. So that's in place, and now we're going to focus on this big old bracket that's left over that needs to come off. It's welded on in two locations, right there in the middle of the hitch and on the front edge of the hitch. Kind of hard to get to, so the angle grinder comes out. I sped that up a little bit for you so it doesn't take too long. I have to change batteries, of course, in between. Those 18-volt DeWalt batteries don't last very long. So if Makita, DeWalt, or Milwaukee watch this, I would like to be a company representative and show you a new battery technology. That would be great. So yeah, just cutting it off without cutting into the trailer hitch itself. So I was trying to only remove the welds itself, but not actually removing material of the square tubing that the hitch receiver is made of. I managed to do that somewhat. Alrighty guys, so there it is. Sorry for the sound. My wireless microphone just gave up the ghost. Outlet, the original mounting bracket that used to hang down there is gone. It's welded in two spots at the rear edge and somewhere in the middle there. And then I got the flappy disc out, ground off the welds, and put some semi-gloss paint over it. So that should be sufficient, I think, to not have it rust. There's a scratch. Maybe I spray a little bit more paint here. But yeah, that's how that goes. The kit, like I said, is available. Tekonsha 118267, that was the part number for this whole thing, with the wiring harness, $34 off of the internet. All right, you guys try to modify your Nissan as well. Consider giving me a thumbs up if you like this video. Also subscribe to my channel if you want to see more. And I will see you in the next one. Take care. Bye. Hey guys, we just finished filming the installation of the relocated trailer outlet on my 2017 Nissan Frontier. And then we were about to use the truck to tow a trailer, plugged in the trailer, and nothing worked. At least my brake controller didn't work. And so what I realized after a little bit of testing is that the wiring, it's not wired the same way. The colors in here are not in the same location. So what I ended up doing is I just took a multimeter. Let me grab a multimeter here for you guys. Set it to continuity. Mine beeps when I test continuity. I just figured out the orientation. This is the orientation it's installed in. Then the new outlet is kind of installed in this orientation. So this one here, this contact, and this contact are the same. And then it also turned out that this contact is the white large gauge wire here, this one, and it's the same here on this outlet, on this new outlet. So this white thick gauge wire goes right here. And then I just took my multimeter and went through the other plugs here on the other end. Started with those with a black one, which only has two contacts, two leads, two conductors, and just figured out on the original, so we're on the original harness, where that contact goes. So the blue contact in that black connector goes right up here. So it's opposite of the white right there. So then I went to the new wiring harness, same contact, same terminal, stuck that in there, and then oriented my plug the same way. So the white is down here, so blue should be up here. Yep, that makes sense. So then I just went through. To make a long story short, what I ended up doing is I just made sure that each of the terminals in the two smaller connectors go to the correct location in the big plug, in the 7-pin connector. And I just always compared the old to the new harness, and I found two wires that were switched. And then later here in this little clip you will see me how to remove the terminals out of the big 7-pin connector and how to switch them around. It's really simple. If you have a multimeter and you can measure for continuity, you can find out if each of the contacts in those two smaller connectors go to the correct location in the big 7-pin connector. That's all that is about. I'm just using a very complicated way of explaining it, I guess. So you just got to make sure that each wire goes to the correct location in the 7-pin connector. So you just have to find out which wire is not where it's supposed to be, and then exchange it with the one that's supposed to be there, kind of deal. Here's a plastic clip here in the back that comes out pretty easily. You just pull that out, and then since you already have your multimeter out, when you look at the terminals in there, they have a little plastic little clip here on the back side. I don't know if you guys can see that, I hope. So when you push that in and hold it there, then suddenly the terminal becomes loose and you can pull it out. So we have to exchange this one for this one. So we do the same in the middle, and I know it's black and red. I did some research. I did some testing before I started filming to be prepared for you guys. So the one that was in the middle needs to go here, and the one that was here needs to go in the middle. Pretty simple, straightforward. Then you just have to orient the terminal the right way, stick it in the right hole here, and push it in until it clicks like this. And now we have the one that goes in the middle. And so, and now we can verify this one more time. So I cannot guarantee that what you would find in your kit that you would buy is the same mistake as in my wiring harness here. So the 2 wires I had to exchange could be different from the 2 that you have to exchange, or maybe you get one that's perfectly correct. Just double check, make sure that everything lines up. So that's what I'm trying to say here in this little add-on. And you can go through and make sure that all of the contacts here on the original harness, let's see, blue up here. So the blue one is this one here, and that's supposed to be there. And just verify if all the terminals on those 2 plugs over here line up with the right position on your connector for your outlet. So you double check from old to new. White, whatever this is, whatever that is, that they all line up and have the same position in that plug. And then once you're done with that and you're sure, then you can take this gray plastic piece, this is like a comb almost, which goes through the cables here, through the individual conductors, push it in, and then it just clips into position. And then you can take this harness back under your vehicle. So we're going to do the one-handed method here. So here you can see the clip part of this big connector goes to the upper position here. Then you clip it in. Then you figure out how you want to route it. And I kind of have done this now a couple times because in frustration, when we were trying to tow the trailer and it didn't work, the brake controller wasn't showing connected, which is kind of nice. My brake controller has this tiny little display and it just says NC or C. When it's C, then it's connected, and when it's NC, then it's not connected. Makes sense, right? And so I knew that there was something not right. So and then we're plugged in. I'm gonna throw a couple of zip ties on here. So here on this little contraption here, I'm just gonna put a zip tie on it, and maybe one more over here. Then we're already plugged in, and then you can take it to your trailer again and try if it works. I just wanted to make this little add-on so that you guys know that even though this aftermarket outlet here that I bolted into my bumper and I cut off this bracket down here may not be wired correctly for your application, even though it is a vehicle specific aftermarket piece. So they say 2007 Nissan Frontier, and it will work, and it has the right connectors on the end, but they didn't wire it exactly like the original. So just use your multimeter and compare, and then change those connectors inside that big round plug, and then you're good to go. All right, guys, that's it. That was the add-on. Take care. Bye.